Hi, everybody, and welcome to Compassion Arts Festival, the virtual version of this much beloved festival in the Hudson Valley. I am so delighted to be a part of it and to kick off this wonderful experience for all of you. My name is Kathy Stevens. I'm the founder of Catskill Animal Sanctuary in Saugerties, New York. Perhaps some of you have been here, but for those of you who haven't, we are a 150-acre sanctuary located really in several towns. Our mailing address says Saugerties. We're actually in Saugerties and Ulster, 150 acres that goes way over that hill. This sanctuary houses about 150 animals at any given time. We have 30 acres over the hill that houses about 100 acres. We accept horses, cows, pigs, goats, sheep, chickens, ducks, turkeys, geese, and rabbits. They come down our hill broken physically, broken psychologically. They come from animal hoarders, particularly the horses. Most of our horses have come from animal hoarders, people who compulsively collect with no capacity to care for them. And quite often, we go in and there's not a spoonful of food, and yet you see dozens or sometimes hundreds of animals. So many of our horses, probably the majority over the years, have come from animal hoarders. The other animals, the animals that most of the world considers food, they come from industry. They come from cruelty cases. They come from things that we call random acts of callousness, just bizarre things. The most bizarre, for example, was a guy who opened his mailbox and a chicken had been placed in his mailbox. They come from abandonments. They come from escapes from industry. A lot of them have come over the years from live markets, escapees from live markets in New York City. People don't understand that in New York City alone, there are 80 live markets. We took a little goat from a live market named Oliver, who was found walking through the street, who had sold spray painted on his left side because somebody had literally gone in and bought a side of goat, so that once that other side was selected, he would have been slaughtered. So they come here and they haven't known a moment's safety. They haven't known consistency. They haven't known basic comfort. All they've known is feeding, force feeding often, depending on the species. And then it is our privilege to take these tormented beings and show them what safety and love and comfort feel like. If I've learned anything in the last 15 years, where did time go? In the last 20 years, it's that in the ways that matter, we're all the same. If you've been with us over time, you've heard us say that. You've seen it in our writing. You've heard it in my speeches. You've seen it on our blogs and on our social media channels. What does that mean? It means that, number one, all of us have deep emotional lives. Even though we live in a world that doesn't want us to know that chickens have emotional lives. Let me tell you, chickens have emotional lives. We know that obvious truth about our dogs and our cats. But the industries, think about this. Why would the industries who profit from turning them into food want us to understand that chickens love, that chickens have quirky and remarkably individual personalities, that chickens can have temper tantrums, that chickens worry, that they feel afraid? So it is such an obvious truth now that we take that for granted, but we know that humanity has a long way to go in understanding that truth. The second truth is that we are all remarkably individual. As I just implied, 10 chickens, 10 pigs, 10 sheep, 10 fill in the blanks are every bit as individual as you and I are, as any 10 humans are, just because we live in a world that, again, doesn't want to see that, doesn't want to know that Penelope the chicken is different from Travis the rooster, doesn't make it untrue. The third thing is that everybody moves toward joy and away from pain, and pain, fear, and suffering feel the same to a chicken or to a pig as they do to a child. And I doubt that you will disagree with anything that I've just said. And I also know that you are not trying to harm. You are not trying to harm when you sit down at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You're not trying to harm when you get dressed or put body lotion on your body. You're just trying to go about your day. But if everything I just said is true, and if further our consumption of them ain't even good for us, despite the disinformation out there, for instance, about how milk builds strong bones or how we have to have animal protein to be healthy, despite all massive amounts of disinformation funded by huge lobbying budgets and huge advertising budgets and huge marketing budgets. You don't need it to be healthy, and in fact, there are a growing number of doctors and nutritionists who would argue very convincingly, using data, that plant-based eating is the most healthy way to nourish our bodies. Thirdly, our consumption of animals is the leading cause of pretty much everything that the globe is struggling with. Deforestation, water pollution, species extinction, topsoil erosion, and climate change. So you can do your own research, and I am sure there will be lots of opportunities to learn this weekend and say that, okay, if what I've just heard is true, and if one of the reasons I am participating in this festival this weekend is because I value kindness and compassion and mercy, then maybe I don't want to participate in this anymore. Maybe I am willing to say, oh, if that's right, if they're just like my dog, I wouldn't eat my dog. If they're just like my dog, maybe it is time. Maybe I'm ready to say, I am done. I get it. I won't participate. Let's go meet some animals. So this is Travis, and in front of Travis is Travis's BFF, Freddie, and they have been here for years. This is Callie behind me. Callie is a cancer survivor. These guys came here years ago. They were part of an egg hatching project. Egg hatching projects have been around in schools forever. They're used to teach biology. I'm sure some of you participated in them. We hatched eggs when I was in elementary school, and it's still an ongoing part of a lot of curricula. And I don't remember where these guys were found, but we've taken lots of chickens from egg hatching projects over the years. Often they're dumped in the dumpster, literally, put beside dumpsters. I think I recall that a concerned child, talked to her mom, and the family intervened, and 13 of these birds came here years and years ago. You can see, I was going to say you can see he's very relaxed, but he's ready. He's done. He's done. Enough affection. Say enough from you, lady. Chickens are absolutely the most abused animal on the planet. Billions and billions of animals are killed either for their meat or animals who are the egg layers lead such stressful lives that their bodies are used up and spent after only about a year and a half. if these boys had been born to the egg-laying industry, of course, they'd have been discarded immediately because they're of no use. Meanwhile, the girls are stacked in crates and lead a wretched lives, as many of them stuffed into a crate as possible, until their little bodies give out at about 1.5 years, and our thanks for their service is slaughter. So I'm in the pig barn, one of our pig barns, with Lucy behind me, Amelia, little sassy pants Amelia, Moses, Ginger, and Charlotte behind them. You've heard that pigs are smarter than dogs. I'm sure you've heard that. Pigs are maddeningly smart, especially on a sanctuary when the worst thing that's ever going to happen to them is bad pig. They're not going to get beaten with a 2x4. They're not going to get electrocuted, which is are a couple of the practices that are typically used to move pigs around factory farming environments. They are unbelievably smart. They are unbelievably strong. I always say a frightened pig could drag you around as if you were a piece of straw. They are willful and they are food obsessed. Of course, there are all the things that make them individuals. But those sounds you hear now, they're revving up because it's dinner time. They are extremely emotional. At dinner time, they'll often literally climb the gates as they get anxious for their grain and their fruits and vegetables. So sanctuaries who are going to take care of these animals who can get up to 1,000 pounds are taking on a lot when we take in pigs. But man, do we adore these smart animals. And if you know them, you can see their minds working. So we've got about 20 pigs, 20, 21, 22. Let me show you what, had they not been lucky to wind up here, let me show you a little piece of what they'd have endured. So what you're about to see is something called a gestation crate. And a gestation crate is used by the pig industry to contain pregnant pigs until a couple weeks before they're about to give birth. Now, I don't know how well you could tell the size of our animals. And again, they're not nearly close to some of the big pigs we've had. But these crates, this is a regulation crate, this is from the industry, are barely bigger than their bodies. They can take half a step up, they can take half a step back, but that is it. And what does that do? What does confinement like this, by the way, in a warehouse where they are breathing in the ammonia from their urine and feces, which has fallen through a graded floor into a huge lagoon beneath them, what does that do? Tens of thousands of screaming animals in often a windowless environment. Their minds, remember how smart they are. They're smart as young children by those conventional measures. I don't even like comparing an animal's intelligence to a human intelligence. They have all kinds of intelligences that we don't. But by that standard measure, we always read that they're as smart as young children. So what is it doing to them, this kind of confinement? It is breaking them. It's breaking them. And then when they are transferred to what's called a farrowing crate, right before they give birth, all that does is give them a few more inches of room, not for any sense of mercy, but for practicality, so that they can lie on their sides and nurse their children. And here is a photo of, look at that uncannily human eye. Everybody who meets pigs says, I feel like a human is looking back at me. here's the farrowing crate. Just a few inches, just so she can lie down on her side and be a milk machine. So again, back to my question, is this level of suffering worth your taste? Because we don't need it. We don't need this food for our health. In fact, many vegan doctors and nutritionists argue convincingly that eating animal products is terrible for us. And if it is causing this and another version of this for chickens, for turkeys, for cows, do you want to say, I get it. I get it. I'm done. So, if you've been here, you surely know this guy. He is perhaps of our living animals, our most iconic animal, our beautiful 12-and-a-half-year, probably close to 3,000-pound Tucker. And boy, do I love this big guy. I'm not the only one. He came from a petting zoo, and a woman who had visited him regularly with her daughter fell in love with him. And it was a seasonal petting zoo, and typically what they do is buy and sell seasonally. So Tucker was going to go to auction. Now, auction is a euphemism because nobody has 3,000-pound cows living in their backyard. So he would have been bought and put back into another animal industry and eventually slaughtered. So she knew that and couldn't bear the thought of this loving little guy that she and her daughter had fallen in love with, suffering that fate. So she bought him, and he came here at about 6 months old. He has been here ever since. He is a red Holstein. So Holsteins are a popular dairy breed in most of the world, in virtually every dairy producing country of the world. Bovine growth hormone is illegal. You cannot give it to cows in the European Union, in Japan, in Australia, on and on and on. But it's not illegal here. There's a relationship between bovine growth hormone and cancers, many forms of cancer, so there's a good reason why it's illegal, but in many countries, but nowhere is it worse than here. Factory farming, agribusiness is capitalism gone awry, and we do everything we can to grow these animals as big and as quickly as possible because that's the cheapest way. It's the most profitable model for the company. So he was inside his mama with bovine growth hormone, presumably. Not all farms use it, but many do, coursing through him. And in addition to engineering these cows to be big, and they're a big breed anyway, he wound up being this giant of a cow. He was lucky that he was bought by the petting zoo because he was ultimately saved. Hello, I love you. He was ultimately saved by this woman and her daughter. But had he not been, then as a boy, from his mother immediately, all in the dairy industry, calves are not allowed to spend any time with their mothers. Why not? Because we need the milk for ourselves. We want the milk for ourselves. If the cow is nursing, the cow is not available to be milked multiple times a day for us to buy the milk and the cheese and the butter. So he would have had a miserable life as a boy. He would have had a miserable life being grown for a few months, giving a diet that keeps him anemic so the flesh stays white, and then slaughtered for veal at 4 to 6 months old. Had he been a girl, he would have most likely have been raised inside a crate. Again, taken from his mama, and the mama cries and cries, and the baby cries and cries, and put in a crate and raised until she first started producing eggs, at which point she would have been bred, carried her baby until the baby was... Yes, he's peeing. And it will be about a 15-minute pee, let me just warn you. It's usually the highlight of a trip when we're not in COVID days and we're doing tours and animals come in here. We bring people in with them. Oh, that was a little short pee. Usually cow pees will go on for minutes and minutes and minutes, and the kids start giggling, and then they'll often guffaw. It's like, hey, still peeing! But that was just a little quick pee. So that's one of many things that is wrong with the brutal dairy industry. The dairy industry had a very successful advertising campaign over the years to make us believe. We actually believe, I bet you some of you believe, that there's such a thing as a milk cow. I know I did. I thought cows just made milk for us to drink. Think about it. It doesn't make any sense. Cows make milk when we have impregnated them, when they've been bred, and they make it for the same reason every single other species alive makes it, and that's to feed their children. Where are you going? No, I'm going over here to give Heather a kiss. One of the beautiful things about cows is that they are the phrase that describes cows the best to me is still waters run deep. You've heard that. You don't have a lot of expression in their faces, though they do have these breathtakingly beautiful eyes. But we've learned how to read them, and they are so profoundly emotional, which makes the idea of this theft of babies from dairy cows who are no more than milk machines all the more excruciating. Say, hello world, don't eat me. Did you go vegan, please? Actually, I don't think your voice would sound anything like that. A 3,000-pound voice would probably not sound like that. I'll have to work on that. So these are just a few of hundreds of examples, thousands of examples across the country of animals who have become, at sanctuaries, powerful vegan makers. Because people come in these fields and they sit down with a turkey who climbs in their lap and falls asleep, or they snuggle up with a cow who wants to bathe them in kisses, or they hear the story of a chicken who's following them around on a tour and how she suffered in the brutal egg industry. And the synapses start to fire, and people are forced to confront what they've been unwittingly often participating in. So one of the things we've tried to do is to take that angst and to immediately empower people to begin that journey toward veganism. So we offer these tours. We offer a very vibrant, compassionate cuisine program, which we urge you to check out. Linda, our chef, Linda Soper Colton, has a cookbook. She has regular cooking classes that are virtual this year, but I took one the other night. They're super fun. So we invite you, whether it is for them or for the environment or for your health, to begin or to hasten that journey. Keep this in mind. The earth is not getting any larger to support a population, a human population that's expected to be, he just swallowed, which means he's feeling pretty good right now. It says, I'm feeling very emotional here with my mama. The Earth is not getting bigger to support a human population that's expected to reach 10 billion by mid-century, right? The Earth isn't expanding. We're expanding. The Earth is staying the same. Only 3% of the Earth is available to feed humans and all of the life that supports us. And since it takes 15 to 20 times the amount of natural resources, more land, more water, more energy to feed a meat and dairy eater as it does to feed a plant eater, then again, as a person of compassion who's trying to tread lightly, is it not incumbent upon all of us when the Earth is about to sneeze us off like a bad idea, when climate change is here and with us and escalating, isn't it incumbent upon all of us to do our part? And the very best step you can take, the very biggest step, the step that is the most impactful according to science, is to leave animals and their products off your plate. So I hope this has given you some food for thought. We invite you to visit Catskill Animal Sanctuary. We hope to be open for real tours, not just virtual tours in 2021. Enjoy the rest of your festival, and thanks for inviting us.